My dad was a transmigrator. In this world where he had no one, he almost died on the streets. My mom had a soft heart and took him in. That's how my dad became the Shen family's live-in son-in-law. He always said it didn't matter, boy or girl, same thing. But my mom wasn't having it. After having me, all she wanted was a son. When he couldn't change her mind, he put everything into me. He told me, a girl who works hard can still climb all the way to the top and make everyone bow at her feet. Mom didn't believe it, I did. And eventually I really did sit on that throne. Dad said he came from another world, where men and women were equal. Women could study and hold office. Marriage was a choice. When he first got here, he was totally lost. Didn't know the rules, couldn't make a living. Almost starved and froze to death on the street. Until my mom took pity on him and brought him home. My grandpa only had my mom as his daughter. He saw my dad was good looking, a little off, but reasonable enough. So he let him marry in as a live-in husband. Less than a year later, my mom gave birth to me. My dad was the only one in the family who was happy. He carried me around bragging to everyone. Said I was his first blood relative in this strange new world. My mom and grandpa, just disappointment written all over their faces. Dad didn't get it. Back where he came from, having a daughter was something to celebrate. He tried to reason with my mom. Talked about equality. Said daughters could take care of their parents too, and bring honor to the family. Mom just went silent and kept drinking those bitter fertility potions. Dad's heart slowly went cold. He knew you can't change a grown adult's mindset, so he poured every bit of his hope and love into me. Dad said later. He looked down at me lying in that cradle and made himself a silent promise. His daughter would never live the same old life as every other woman here. He'd give me everything he could, including freedom and the right to choose. After taking over Grandpa's business, Dad got busy fast. But every time he came home from a trip, he'd bring gifts for me and Mom. Big things like gold and jewelry, small things like candied skewers and street toys. He'd buy it all for me if he could. My dad had a serious talent for business. Grandpa used to run a fabric shop. Dad took it over and went hard on expanding. Not just fabric, he started selling ready-made clothes too. He'd hire pretty girls to wear the outfits and do a little runway walk in the store. Those clothes would get snatched up by fashion-loving girls in no time. Dad would always bring me nice clothes too. But as the business grew, he came home less and less. Mom would wait at the door every single day, and all she'd get were things the servants brought back. In less than 5 years, we weren't just a fabric shop anymore. Braised food, hot pot, a market, you name it. Shops nobody had ever heard of before. And they made us the richest family in the whole county. But Mom was in tears every day, and the way she looked at me kept getting colder. She'd say it all the time. You should have been a boy. I used to push back. Dad says it doesn't matter, boy or girl. I can hold my own just the same. And Mom would laugh, that sarcastic, mocking laugh. Then out of nowhere, Dad appeared behind us. He waved me over and I ran straight to him. He picked me up just like he always did. Bounced me a little in his arms to check if I'd lost weight. When he saw I hadn't changed, he finally relaxed. He looked at me with those soft eyes and said, my fubao's all grown up. Come with Dad from now on. Time to see the world. Dad told me later. He'd realized back then that money alone wasn't enough. In a world built on rank and status, merchants were at the bottom. His daughter, out on her own one day, would get walked all over just because of who her family was. He had to move up. For me, he was willing to do anything. That night, Mom and Dad had their first huge blow-up. Mom said, a girl's place is at home, sewing and embroidering. No proper girl should be out there putting herself on display. Dad called her narrow-minded and stuck in the past, dragging her own daughter down with her. The argument ended with me dressing as a boy and hitting the road with Dad. We traveled all across the country in so many places, so many people, until I was almost of age. Mom went full drama mode back home, crying, raging, threatening to hang herself, until she forced me back for my coming-of-age ceremony. Dad and I had no choice. We went home. The day we got back, Mom made up an excuse to come to my courtyard with a gift. Then she looked at me and pleaded, Fubao, Mom's been so lonely here. Can you ask your dad to stay home and keep me company? I said, Mom, if you want Dad around, just go tell him yourself. He's easy to talk to. In my memory, it was always Mom starting drama out of nowhere, and Dad would just sigh and give in to every single one of her demands. Through tears, Mom said, he's changed. He's gotten too big for his britches. The Shen family can't control him anymore. Mom was sobbing her heart out. I felt bad, so I found an excuse to keep Dad home a few more days. For days on end, Mom was glued to Dad's side. Every time I tried to find Dad, the wet nurse would cut me off. The wet nurse said, don't go bothering your father. He and your mother are working on giving you a little brother. If they don't get one this time, no one's gonna have your back when you get married. Honestly, I never got it. Why couldn't I just stand on my own? Why did I even need someone to have my back? Mom didn't have a brother in her corner either, and she was doing just fine. Finally, my coming-of-age day arrived. The Shen estate was packed. Relatives who had completely cut us off all showed up. Every single one of them wearing that fake sucking-up smile. I knew. They only came because Dad had made it big. After the ceremony, Dad rushed out the door, barely stopping to breathe. He was planning to take me with him, but Mom flat out refused. She even threatened, if Dad took me out again, she'd hang herself from the rafters. Dad couldn't risk it. He pulled me aside and said quietly, Fubao, Dad'll keep the peace with your mom. But nobody's stopping where Dad is headed. Just wait. Dad's gonna pave the brightest road for you. All I could do was stay behind and keep Mom company. Mom never really liked me. She just loved keeping me around. Like keeping me close meant keeping Dad close too. She kept downing those awful herbal tonics every day, praying to every god she could find. All she wanted was a son. About half a month after Dad left, Mom's period was late. She walked around looking dark and gloomy. Then a few days later, she was suddenly all smiles. She rushed to send a servant to go get the doctor. While she was waiting, she went right back to praying. Wasn't enough to pray herself, she made me get down and pray with her. But when the doctor showed up, Mom's whole dream came crashing down. Her period being late had nothing to do with pregnancy. It was just her body acting up. She wasn't pregnant. Mom totally lost it, smashed everything in the prayer hall, then broke down sobbing. She blamed the heavens for giving up on her. By the next day, she had servants put it all back together and got right back down on her knees. Like the woman who lost her mind yesterday was someone else entirely. Dad came home, and this time was different. He was absolutely glowing. Like he'd come back to life, like he was young again. He brought me gifts just like always. The only difference, he had way less patience for Mom now. I knew Dad had probably found out about what went down in the prayer hall. He was not happy. After dinner, I knew better and slipped back to my own courtyard.